Hey everybody, and welcome to the Heavy Debriefings YouTube channel for another edition of Out Today and What I Missed, this time for August 8th, 2025. This is my very first Out Today and What I Missed for my 14th year of doing everything that I've done under the name That Drummer Guy and now as Heavy Debriefings. We have 20 brand new albums to be able to check out this week, 4 that are out today, 16 that I've missed along the way. Let's get into it. First up, we have Cemetery with Thoughts on Life and Death. In this German band's 35th year, the band has only put out their debut album back in 2019. Thankfully, in 2025, they have returned with their 90s death metal assault. Remember, it's all about quality, not quantity. With their sophomore album, Cemetery has put out a 50-minute concept album about the rise of a totalitarian regime and the downfall of the individual, if that doesn't sound familiar. But yeah, the music more than matches the concept and hits quite hard. Rather than just being a barrage of death metal, Cemetery adds just the right amount of melody, harmony, and proggy moments to make the music more vast and expressive, and it works to their advantage. The heavier parts feel heavier from it, and the other segments showcase their versatility in such a great way. The production feels like that early 90s death metal goodness, and they make it work to their advantage. Overall, a very depressing album from the realities that can come from a concept album like this, and just reality of 2025, but at least the music more than makes up for it with a fun listening experience from beginning to end. If you need your love of death, pestilence, and even some early day Opeth, check out Cemetery. Next up, we have Dreamwake with The Lost Years. One of the best examples of showcasing what is possible with genre bending in the mainstream sound is here with Dreamwake. The sophomore album from this New England band feels like an American version of the band One Morning Left, combining the best elements of metalcore, 80s synthwave, and they create their own sound with it. Whether they are focusing more on the breakdowns or they're letting their Vice City vibes fly, Dreamwake is making some undeniably catchy songs, and they are not afraid to experiment with it. The production is pristine and it feels like it fits like a glove. So much of the lyrical content for the album focuses on mental health from the outside and the inside, and as someone who suffers from that as much as I do, it feels like an extra punch in the gut, but it also feels like such a great cathartic experience. I always appreciate an earnest take on these struggles. Match that up with some killer music and you have one of my favorite metalcore albums of the year. This won't be for everybody, especially those who normally check out my list, but this is more than worthy of at least a listen to see if it's right for you. This hit me like a ton of bricks, and it just might for you as well. Now we have Lord of the Lost with Opus Noir, Volume 1. This is my first foray into this long-running German band, and it just so happens to be their 10th album, but I am floored by what I'm hearing. This industrial-fused gothic metal band is endlessly catchy, and it gets stuck in your head for days. I truly appreciate how they can combine these genres and never feel self-indulgent, and they focus on writing the best quality songs that they can. This is the first of a trilogy of new albums, and it has me excited to see where the next 2 albums will go. The production couldn't be better, and the guest spots, which I won't ruin here, fit so very well and only benefit the songs. Overall, I love what I'm hearing, and I need to go back and check out their previous material, and they have 9 more albums to check out in the past, so I'm kinda kicking myself for never checking them out sooner, and if you're like me, after one listen, you'll probably feel the same way. Next up, we have Sinsanum with In Devastation. The third album from this international powerhouse featuring past and present members of Mayhem, Seth, Loud Blast, Creator, and Doth have recruited Joey Jordison's drum tech to take over the helm for the drums and help create that next slab of their blend of groove-infused black and death metal. This band has never been conventional, and it pulls influences from all over the place and from their own places as well. You can hear so much of the black and death metal tendencies as you hear some Slipknot thrown in at particular moments, making this stand out from other bands in the genre. Hearing this much groove and tenacity going on amongst the brutal moments may feel like a culture shock to some, but it does make sense the more you listen to it. I'd argue this is the band's most experimental album today, and arguably their saddest. The production album is so heavy and punching it never lets up, even when it gets into more mellow moments. While this album may take a little bit to digest, it is worth it to hear what is on offer here, and it helps so much with the grief of loss that everyone will experience at some point in time. If you want to hear that kind of catharsis in a more experimental style of black and death metal, check out what Sinsanum is all about. Now for everything that I missed along the way, starting with Atomic Witch with Death Etiquette. The sophomore album from this Ohio band is a pulverizing release. Their blend of death metal and thrash metal makes for such a sinister take on both genres, creating an album that feels like the best of both worlds. While I will admit straight up that the vocals will not be for everyone, there is a lot of high-pitched shrieks going on with this one. I think it really adds to the charm and it makes the band name work even better in context. The production feels like a great 1989 mix of the production of Morbid Angel and Testament combined. The songs are full-on assaults in the best of ways. This is how you make death thrash exciting in 2025, and one of the best examples of it in 2025. If you need that kind of combination, do not skip out on Atomic Witch. Now we have Autumn Nostalgia with Metanoia. The third album from the Slovakian band is a sensational slab of atmospheric pulse metal that hits hard and pulls on the heartstrings. Musically, the music goes all over the post-black realms, hitting into the territories that you'd expect from the genre, but it's also done with such frailty to it all, making everything feel a bit more hopeless and full of despair. That is a great thing when it comes to this genre, and especially when it comes to the vocal delivery and the lyrics. There is so much feeling of what could have been and regret that fills this music, and that's what makes it hit that much harder. The production is quite raw, but not unlistenable. It adds a little more to the emotional emptiness of it all. But if you enjoy the likes of Early Day Unrequited, Alcest, and Death Heaven, you'll find something to love about Autumn Nostalgia. Next up is Black Knight with The Tower. The fourth album in 27 years from this heavy metal band out of the Netherlands is such a fun listen. It is filled with that 70s, 80s, and 90s heavy metal sound that is heavier than glam, slower than power metal, and it hits this groove that you just don't expect. The production feels like it's pure 80s, and the musicianship on hand is an awesome thing to hear. If you're looking for a band that can channel their inner Accept, Annihilator, Mystic Prophecy, and even Deep Purple, check out what Black Knight is all about. I think they have a lot to offer. Now we have Centuries of Decay with a monument to decay. The sophomore album from this Canadian band is a jaw-dropping display of what can be done in progressive death metal. This is a monolithic release that knows how to focus on the heaviest aspects of their sound, all while adding the right flourishes to make the more progressive elements to create a hauntingly beautiful album. The production is so slick, but it has just enough raw feeling behind it, so you know that this is the real deal. Musically, it's a whirlwind of sound that floors over you, and only lets up the momentum enough to let you catch your breath before getting pummeled all over again. This truly does feel like the progressive death metal sides of Edge of Sanity, Enslaved, and Gorgira combined. Do not sleep on this one if you're looking for some of the best progressive death metal of 2025. Now we have Connect the Circle with Wolf in the Sky. 4 albums into this Norwegian progressive metal band's career, and the band is continuing to explore more of what is possible and broadening their sound for the best. I can hear so many influences of proggy styles and bands throughout this, and it makes a longtime prog nerd like myself very happy. The production is so clean and polished, and the songwriting goes from some of the most somber tones to the most left-of-center quirky moments to hard-driven heavy riffs all in the turn of a dime. It's an odd thing to hear Dream Theater, Spock's Beard, Arion, and the Deer Hunter into one formation, but that's what I get out of this one. It's quite the trip for any prog fan, and I couldn't recommend it more. This is how you keep prog exciting in 2025. Now we have Coherence with Daydream. The debut album from this Gothenburg band hits this itch that I didn't know needed to be scratched. It hits this super melodic side of melodeath, making that work with 2000s melodic metalcore and more mainstream elements to create this earnest and triumphant look at how you fuse these genres together in 2025. The production is a bit raw, especially on the mastering side, but the rest is made up for by its musical ability and the songwriting at hand. It feels like this grand mix of Mutiny Within, Breaking Benjamin, and the middle era of In Flames. Basically anything from Clayman to Come Clarity. Coming in at 10 tracks in just about 39 minutes, this is an album that gives you all of their power and it still leaves you wanting more. I can't wait to see where they go from here. This is some quality work. Now we have Death Reapers with Thirst for Chaos. The debut album from this Polish band is a mesmerizing display of blending the past and the present. From its ferocious vocal display to its astonishing songwriting and musicianship, this takes the ideas of melodeath, thrash metal, and more and turns them on their head. It hits in a way that feels so good for someone growing up on 90s melodeath as it would for someone just hearing the genre for the first time. The production is a bit raw, but it works for the style at hand. If you want to mix a band such as At the Gates, Needless, Nightbearer, and As the Sun Falls, you need to check out what Death Reapers is all about. It just might be exactly what you need. And now we have what I hope I get right, Deciduous Forest, with Fields of Yore. If I got that wrong, I deeply apologize. The debut album from this Australian one-man band has blown me away with its intensity and its songwriting. Hitting the sweet spot of mainly focusing on atmospheric black metal, but adding these layers of symphonic synths on top of everything feels grand and triumphant in a genre known for sadness and grief. This is a dark album that is filled with dread, but still has this otherworldly feel behind it all to create what feels like a soundtrack to being lost in the universe. The production is stellar, especially considering how raw the genre usually tends to be, and the songwriting seals the deal for this one. That is the reason you check this one out. If you want a spectacular look at what can be done with black metal in 2025, give this band your time and see the forest for the tree. No, I can't do that pun, I'm sorry. Let's just say this is an outstanding album. Next up, we have Elder Call with Closure. I've been seeing this band pop up on social media ads for a little bit of time now, and I had to go check this out. This is a debut album from a Nashville band, and you wouldn't expect something of the symphonic melodeath realm to be from Nashville of all places. But they really know how to focus on the melodic side of the heaviest sides of this kind of metal without ever losing its brutality. While the mixing could be polished up, mainly from using drum samples, I see they lost their drummer recently, so that might have had something to do with it. All of that can be fixed in future releases. The songwriting at hand is what seals the deal for a band like this, and it only improves the more that you listen to it. I'm hearing a great mix of Black Dahlia Murder, Insomnium, and Demi Borgir mixed together. I'd also say if you enjoyed the latest album from Faye on Stream, you would really enjoy this one as well. Overall, this is a fun album from an upstart band that is only going to improve with age. See what they're doing now, and get on that hype train right now. Next up, we have Gloombound with Dreaming Delusion. The debut album from this Norwegian funeral doom band almost feels too appropriate in 2025. Their mix of the slowest and most devastating forms of doom metal makes for a soundtrack that hits hard and it never lets up. This feels like a slow dragging of the soul, taking you straight to the grave, and I wouldn't want it any other way in my doom metal. The production is a bit raw and atmospheric, yet still feels full somehow, and that's a really hard thing to achieve. At 5 songs and 43 minutes, this does go by much faster than most bands that you would hear in this genre, so it could be a good gateway into the genre for the uninitiated. But for those who know, and you enjoy the likes of Morgu, Ocean Grave, and Mournful Congregation, you are sure to love, and maybe even shed some tears, listening to Gloombound. Now we have Gods of Tomorrow with their self-titled debut. The debut album from this international band is quite the treat for the melodic side of metal. What feels like a real earnest take on the more rock, metal, and almost power metal ends of heavy music, the band focuses on writing the best riffs and hooks that they can, and they wrap it up in stunning musicianship and songwriting. The production is a little muddy at times, but that kind of adds a little bit of character to the overall product. Whether the band is focusing on the heavier ends of their sound, or making more of a focus on the melody and the harmony, the band can show off that they can be heavy and tender at the same time. If you enjoy the likes of Kiss and Dynamite, Firewind, and even 80s Bon Jovi, yeah, you heard that right, you'll dig what Gods of Tomorrow has to offer. Now we have Honeymoon Suite with Wake Me Up When the Sun Goes Down. The 9th album from this long-running Canadian band is just a feel-good album at a time that we could all use such a thing. The world is on fire, and we could easily use something to make us smile and sing along. That's exactly what Honeymoon Suite delivers once again with their latest album. The band has always been known for their blend of rock, pop, and just enough genre bending to create a sound that'll get you bobbing your head while making your body dance along. The album has some particularly fantastic hooks that only get more infectious on repeated listens. The production feels like pure 80s, and the songwriting has this 2025 sensibility to it all that you just need to hear to understand. If you need a 10-track, 33-minute escape from the horrors of the current world, and again, who couldn't, Honeymoon Suite more than delivers the goods, and they give a great sense of hope. Can you really ask for more right now? Now we have Mandragora Titania with Infabulous. The 4th album, and first since their name change for this German folk metal band, is quite a welcomed experience. 2025 has had some good folk metal this year, but it's still a genre that could always use more, and this band more than delivers the goods. Taking the folk metal genre and adding a nice symphonic feel behind it, and making everything have this nice rich layer of catchiness to it all for such a fun listening experience from beginning to end. The production is exactly what you want for this style, while keeping true to what the genre is all about, and still branching out enough to separate themselves from the pack. If you enjoy the likes of Myth Begotten, In Extremo, and early day Equilibrium, this is a band that you need in your rotation. Please give them a proper listen. Next up, we have Star Force with Beyond the Eternal Night. The debut album from this Mexican speed metal band is one of the most fun albums that I've heard in the genre in 2025. From the astonishing vocal performances to the stellar musicianship and songwriting, this is everything that makes the genre such a great time to listen to. The production is top tier perfection for the genre, and I can't stress that enough. And every song from the mid-tempo stompers to the all guns blazing assaults are exactly what you want. I love his songs, and just about 52.5 minutes might feel a little daunting for speed metal, but it is more than worth the track when you put this on. If you want a band that channels their inner Enforcer, Warlock, and Savage Master, check out what Star Force is all about. Next up, we have Stellar Blight with Eventide, Synod of the Dying Stars. The debut album featuring past and present members of Blaze of Perdition, rest in peace to one of the best bands out there, Shodan, and Owlswood's Graves, is a stunning display of melodeath with just enough of a blackened twist. Every song hits in a way that feels as heavy as any melodeath band out there, but has these moments of melody and harmony that aren't typically explored in the genre, at least to this extent, in a more traditional heavy metal way. The production is right where it needs to be for maximum enjoyment, and all three members that are performing are at their peak performances. Hearing this mix of melodeath, groove, black metal, and heavy metal may not be for everyone, but it is something that I needed in my rotation, and you just might as well. If you enjoy the likes of Latter Day Dissection, At the Gates, and Necrophobic, make sure to check out what Stellar Blight has to offer. I can't imagine you'd be disappointed. And finally today we have Victim of Fire with The Old Lie. The third album from this Denver outfit couldn't be more in my wheelhouse if they tried. They somehow managed to find this perfect balance of 90s melodeath, pure death metal, and crust punk when they go into their fullest extremes, and they pulled off an album that will be stuck in your head for days every time that you give it a spin. The production feels like Slaughter of the Soul, but just if it was a little bit punchier, and the songwriting feels exactly what it needs to be effective. Every time I put this one on, it just gets better and better, and there's no better endorsement of an album than that, is there? If you enjoy everything from Carcass to Dismember to Black Breath, you need Victim of Fire. Go check them out now. And there you go, folks, another 20 albums down for Out Today and What I Missed for August 8th, 2025. What did you think? Did I pick out some good stuff? Did I pick out some bad stuff? Anything that you want to check out? Anything you're going to steer clear of? Did I miss anything? Please let me know down below. And of course, like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. As of recording, I'm almost at 1,700 subscribers. Thank you so very much for doing so, and please continue to do so, and especially watch the videos so we can get those watch hours up. Please and thank you. But until next time, for August 15th, 2025, this is Josh Runquist for Heavy Debriefings saying, embrace the skillet.